Grab your seat, light it up, let's unwind. Kevin and Kerr bringing topics of all kinds, from cigars to sports, family and more. Everyday stories you'll want to explore. So take a puff or ponder away. Join the talk, it's the highlight of your day. Puff and ponder where the sparks ignite. Conversations blazing day or night. Tune in now, let the stories take flight. It's the Puff and Ponder podcast, where we get it right. From fast cars to last night's game, family laughs or today's big name. We've got the topics, we've got the vibe. Stay tuned in and enjoy the ride. So lean back, relax, take a break. Kevin and Kerr got the chat you'll appreciate. Puff and Ponder, the show that's great, where conversations ignite. Don't hesitate. So lean back, relax, take a break. Kevin and Kerr got the chat you'll appreciate. Puff and Ponder, the show that's great, where conversations ignite. Don't hesitate. Oh, hesitate.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Puff and Ponder podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Shahan. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Kerr Viajante. It's been, I think we had a week off there, so it's good to see everybody back. I think our last show was the Saka show. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, after a show like that, it's hard to follow up. You need a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I think I was actually wasn't feeling well either, but hold on for a second. I'm getting some.
Yeah, I heard your little feedback.
Yeah, it's there we go. Yeah, taken care of. So what's going on, Kev?
Not much. I need to light up a cigar here. I finished one before the show, so I'm gonna light one up. I'm gonna stick it with my Cigar Medics humidimeter because I need to see how my humidor is doing. Doing good, 62%. This cigar is like a year old, so it's the JC Newman Brick House. So
nice.
Good cigar.
I'm smoking the wild card from Belladama.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Chantel makes some great cigars.
Yeah, this is a real nice one. Yeah, this is the humidity was perfect. Look at that ash on it.
Yeah.
She's
damn.
Also freaking sweet person, but man, makes a great cigar.
Oh, that she does. Moments before the show started, Kara, I got a package from Amazon. They're my author copies of my new book, Amber, the Brave Raccoon Nurse. I wrote this for my daughter since she is a nurse, a baby nurse. So it's all about like a little raccoon's journey through nursing. A quick little book. It's only made for toddlers, so it's a quick read, like 30 pages or so. So I ordered because there's like a dozen nurses that are all pregnant or giving birth right now on her at the hospital. So I ordered like a dozen author copies, and I'll sign them so she can give them out to all the nurses.
Nice.
That just makes me the better dad once again.
It does.
It does. I 3D print some stuff for the nurses, and then now it's like, I'm like, hey, your dad's cool, but did he write a book about you and publish it?
Yeah,
he did not.
You just made Thanksgiving a lot suckier for all those other dads are gonna be like, hey, what are you thankful for? I'm thankful for, what really is cool is I work with this girl, Amber. Her dad wrote a book about her. No, and it's not like on a piece of paper. It's this book right here, Dad. What have you done for me, Dad? Make me thankful for something.
Yes. So that's great.
Well, good for you, man. Good for you.
Oh,
we had a crazy weekend of college football.
Oh my God. I almost don't even want to talk about it just because of the stupid rankings. What's going on. Colby, thank you, Jen, for letting everybody know it's my birthday month. What's going on, Johnny? And before we get to that real quick, Kerr, I uploaded a video a couple hours ago on the Cigar Prop Instagram and YouTube channel. It's on a new soft-sided travel cigar case. I'm giving a bunch of these away. So Cigar Prop Instagram, YouTube, find the video, comment on it, and we're giving some away.
They look very, very cool. I like the orange one.
Yeah,
they look very
nice. Jessica picked that orange one as soon as she saw it. So I kind of like the red one, but we'll keep the orange one for her and give the rest away.
Yeah, no, those are very, very cool. I watched your video earlier.
So yes, college football, the rankings came out for some reason. And ESPN's rankings, don't know where they came up with, why they left Texas at number 1. In my opinion, Texas put up such a dismal battle, like they shouldn't even be in the top 5. Like, what have they done? What have they? Yeah.
I got to tell you, I don't even know what to say with the with ESPN and their rankings, right? So they still kind of look like they're still older. They still look like they're pre-week 1 rankings.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen. I've seen a few rankings, and I don't know where you've seen the ESPN one, but I have found a few of the rankings, and they kind of seem to be all over the board. I've seen Texas still number 1. I've seen Ohio State ranked number 1. I've seen LSU ranked number 1.
Yeah, I saw LSU in a couple of polls ranked number 1.
I mean, you beat Clemson. Okay, now Clemson is a ranked team. However, I'm a pretty realistic guy. Now, I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm a Clemson fan. I have no love for Ohio State, but I am a football purist. I just am. I call it like it is. If you suck, you suck. If you played well, you played well. I may not like it. I may freaking kick the dog. However, I will call it the way I see it. And Ohio State beat the number 1 team ranked in the country. Penn State, ranked number 2, beat the Nevada Community College. They broke their record. They set a record of 32 consecutive wins against unranked team. That's like bragging about that you suck the least. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. If you are ranked number 3 and you beat number 1, and you're ranked number 2 and you beat freaking, an unranked team, great. You may still be in that top 5, but you're sliding down. Ohio State should be number 1. I agree with you 100%. I think Texas just did not play strong enough. They should be in that top 5, but I don't think they should be number 2. I think, if anything, LSU beating a ranked team actually should be number 2, then Penn State, then Texas, and then Georgia. Well, Georgia, then Texas.
Yeah, and I'd almost put Texas above Penn State, only because Texas did play a ranked team, but I don't.
A loss is a loss, man. That's the thing. A loss is a loss.
A loss is a loss. And a lot of people don't know these games are set up. Like, they didn't know that Texas was going to be, this good. I mean, these games are set up sometimes years in advance, to get the schedule. So
yeah, you have to.
Yeah. I mean, so it was just a coincidence that, we destroyed Texas, at the end of the year, beat them, not destroyed them, but beat them at the end of last year. And then that was, our first game of the year. So that was just kind of a fluke. But I think it shows that Arch Manning isn't what he was hyped up to be.
It's one game. I'm not going to write the kid off for one game.
No. Neither am I.
All the Manning brothers, if you look at them, when they got their first start, they didn't come out. Peyton Manning wasn't fucking Peyton Manning his first game, and neither was Eli Manning or any of these quarterbacks. And he actually showed signs of having some really, really great performance, but a lot of poor performance. You also had an incredible defense going against Texas. Ohio State's defense was freaking ferocious. They just were.
Yeah, you don't
game in general.
Yeah, at the goal line, I think it's going to be known. You go for the field goal. Don't push Ohio State at the field, because I mean our last 3 games of last year, and then of course this one. We can hold anybody. At fourth and goal.
Right. Exactly. And and the play that they decided, I mean, Arch Manning, okay, yeah, he's 6'4", 218, but he's a quarterback, and he's 6'4" and 218. If you're gonna run a play, against Ohio State, you're gonna have to freaking fake a belly dive and do a pitch, try and get them on the corner, get them to get the defense to commit inside, get them to believe that you're really gonna try and freaking hard nose, freaking smash mouth football them, and then freaking pitch it outside or fake and then freaking pass. But if you want to play it safe, especially during that time of the game, and it's a defensive struggle, kick the field goal, man. Take the easy 3, and then because it wasn't a high scoring game.
No, not at all.
What was the final score? It was like 14-7 or 10-7?
I think it was 14-7. We did score twice, 14. So yeah, no, it was a very low scoring. When you see all these other games played, 52-0, 64-7. But yeah, so to have 14-7, yeah, 7,
14-7, right? That's a great defensive game. It really is.
Oh yeah,
and you have to have some respect for your defense. Kick the field goal, let your defense hold them, and then come back out and go back down the freaking, go back down the field and score again. But, that's just me. What do I know? But yeah, I think the rankings are so absurd right now. They're all over the place. And again, I don't like Ohio State. I'm a Michigan fan. However, they have earned. They don't deserve it. They earn the right to be ranked number 1 right now, going into week 2 after beating the number 1 ranked team.
Yeah, and then you see the whole controversy with Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, not being allowed into the shoe, blaming it on ESPN and everything else. And I know he was rooting for Ohio State because he does root for the Big Ten, but to wear that shirt says you still can't beat Michigan, and then like being I mean, I don't know. I just find that disrespectful to come in someone else's house like that. I know he's a Michigan fan. But you don't see that anywhere else. I mean,
my junior year in high school. Now I'll go all the way back to high school. We had a big rivalry with the high school, Anvil Cleona, right? So this is the Al Bundy story. And I played basketball in high school and football. My junior year, I didn't play basketball for undisclosed reasons. But I went to the basketball game where I went to school. It was actually held at Anvil Cleona. I went to the basketball game, and we're small schools. Everybody knew each other. So I'm public enemy number 1 because my sophomore year, I got into a fight during a basketball game, bench clearing brawl, everything. So at that point, I was public enemy number 1 in Anvil Cleona, like especially football and basketball. So I didn't play basketball. So I show up in an Anvil Cleona practice jersey that I got from someone. A friend of a friend of a friend of a friend stole one, and I got one. I went to the game, and I had people push me, shove me. The cop said, "You're out of here." I said, "I didn't do anything." He said, "You're wearing that shirt. Who you are in this school at this basketball game?" He's like, "I could get you for inciting a riot." Out. It goes back to what you're saying with Dave Portnoy, right? You're going in to Ohio State with a shirt that says, "But you still can't beat Michigan." I'm sorry, you deserve to get your ass beat if you're going to get your ass beat, and you're going to incite a riot. That's just that that's what you're doing. I mean, I'm taking all this bullshit of freedom of this. You know what, dude? Let's just go back about freaking 20, 30, 40 years, and let's be real about this. You go into a freaking. It's not like freaking Philadelphia, but you go in like that. You're expected. You're looking for trouble. You're not expecting trouble. You're looking for trouble. You're looking to get a response, and that's what happened.
Yeah. That's it, and if fans want to do, I don't know, I guess just a someone that's part of the the news crew, the commentators. I don't know, I guess just because it's Michigan, that's probably why it's got me more pissed than anything else. But
I mean, especially if you're getting in because of your name and who you are, special privileges.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to say you got to show a little respect. No, fuck that, dude. Use your head. You're going in with a shirt like that. You're either not going to be let in or you're going to possibly get your ass beat. And Bones, I'm going to be addressing you and the vindication of Florida State University. Because didn't Florida State get bumped last year or 2 years ago over Alabama bumped them, even though they had a better record and beat them and shit, and that caused all sorts of controversy because the quarterback wasn't going to play. And
I know, it was just that they based it on who wasn't going to play,
right?
And oh my god, that was
I remember that. I was like,
that was awesome controversy.
Oh my god, it was hilarious watching everything. Bones, I love you, but I love watching. I mean, you guys really you held on to that for far too long. I mean, you just
I know.
I mean, Kevin, you're an Ohio State fan. If it would have been Ohio State, I suspect you would have been hanging on to it as well. But you hung on to it but to see an unranked Florida State beat Alabama, not just beat them, but beat them. It's 31-17. There had to be a great deal of like, fuck yeah. Now, we'll see what complaints happen next, which are they should expect Florida State to be ranked. And not only that, they should be ranked higher than Alabama, whatever the case may be. But it was nice to see freaking a little bit of freaking come up and, with that whole situation.
Yeah.
And then, my Michigan, team ranked 14th, really did a number on New Mexico.
Yeah, when I messaged you and it was like halftime or something, and that score was pretty close. I mean, closer than I thought it should have been for a gimme game. Do
you watch or follow any of the Michigan games?
No, just on I catch everything on the recaps. How everybody did. So that's all. I don't have time to watch like every game, and like if you message me or something and I'm in the lounge here, like I'll turn a game on.
That always seems to be Michigan's MO whenever I check their scores. It's whenever they play like a really it's like, holy shit, it's freaking 10-0 at halftime, or it's 3-14 at half. This is a little too close. I mean, they're playing freaking Alcorn State University or whatever. And then the second half is like freaking ends up being like 44 points are scored or whatever. But yeah, I whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
I do like, people said, like the expanded playoffs has made it too difficult. The one thing I do like is we'll never again see, the Michigan Appalachian State, not controversy, years ago, first game of the season, Michigan gets trumped by a high school team, which instantly takes them out. You can't go to the playoffs with one loss. Can't do it. So luckily we'll never see that again.
Thank God. I hated that. I mean, I played smaller college football, and it seemed like every other college from Division III, Division II, 1AA, everyone had a playoff. Everyone has a playoff, and it's what's fair. Like you said, look at Arch Manning now. End of the season, if they make the playoffs, he may be a completely different. He can mature and play some of these teams that. I mean, you're coming right out of the gate playing Ohio State. You got Penn State. Penn State looked great. Why? They played Nevada. They beat them 46-11. And you got your team freaking playing against some folks and building their confidence, gelling together. So when Penn State plays Ohio State in November, they're going to have a couple of these games under their belt, and it's going to be good for them. So I don't know, man. I've never been a Penn State fan, but again, if they play good teams, and if they win, and I'll give them the props that they deserve. But man, just I don't get too hyped up. I just think that I was really kind of surprised that they were ranked freaking as high as they were coming into the season.
Yeah. Joseph asks, how much would it cost for you to dress like your Moon Man for Halloween? So I may have to get Jessica on my Moon Man Halloween costume. She can do me up a backpack full of leaves.
That'd be a good one.
She's the crafting queen. The rest of the Moon Man I can get off Amazon.
Yeah,
it wouldn't look exactly like Johnny. I had Johnny done up extra special. So, but I'll get Jessica on that.
I think you could get it done. Get pretty close to it. Get it all painted up. He did a real nice job of that too, man. That was
Mark did a
fast
job. Yeah, that's what. It's nice working with somebody that that wants money to do a job.
Yeah, right.
I have little dumpsters that I sent to a guy 3 months ago, like metal dumpsters. He's doing a whole Trash Panda graffiti type scene on them, and I showed me a picture. They're looking great, but 3 months, dragging his ass on them, and it's just it just sucks, and I'll never use them again, so
that sucks.
Yeah.
That does suck. I mean, that's ugh. I hate hearing that because you and I talk about it all the time. It's like you try and support local business, and and it's like these folks try and do everything they can to not help, to not earn money. I always say, look, man, I'm not asking you for I'm not asking for a freebie. I'm going to pay you.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I don't get, And then it's the same people that post on social media. Oh, support your local brick and mortar, support your local mom and shop, support your local artist. Is what you see. And it's like, yeah, your local artist is fucking lazy.
Yeah,
and they're not all. They're not all like that, but I've just found a run of really bad people that don't want to make money. Like 90% of the people that I reach out to don't want to make any money.
I'm with you, but like you said, there are we deal with some folks here locally that are great. The barbecue folks, the ones that when you were here, the barbecue sauce, we said that.
Yeah,
freaking those. We met them a couple of years ago. Fantastic folks, man. Awesome people, great food. A couple other places locally are great, but man, most of the time when we're reaching out to try and get something done, you'd think that you would think that the first thing out of the gate is, hey, I'm looking for a do you do woodwork? I'm looking for something about this big. It's got to be my logo. I'm looking for 20% off. Like you think the way that they're responding, like out of the gate, I'm looking for a deal, something less expensive. And it's like, no, you just give them the basic stuff. Saying, listen, here's what I want. Here's what I'm looking for. Do you do this? Can you do this? What's the cost? And then it's like freaking ghost you. Like
that's it. I'm smoking the JC Newman Brick House. Kerr, what were you smoking again?
The Belladama.
The Belladama.
Yep.
What's going on, Derek? 601 Black, great cigar. When I dropped off the Moon Man to the artist, and he's like been a tattoo artist for 28 years. Fantastic tattooer, but he also does airbrushing on motorcycles. His son actually owns a motorcycle shop that does custom builds and repairs and things like that. Mark Davern Tattoo, or Mark Davern and Mark Davern Jr. So when I dropped off the Moon Man, and he's like, all right, so what do you want done? And I'm like, well, here's the story. This is Jonathan P. Tobacco Knot. his dad was Johnny Tobacconaut. He's traveling the galaxy, getting a space tobacco for Room 101 cigars. And he's like, what kind of color scheme? And I'm like, listen, the owner of the company, Matt Booth, he only had one request, is find an artist and give him no direction. Let him do what he wants. He goes, all right. And he's like, do you have a budget in mind? And I go, what are you thinking? So he tells me, what he was thinking. I go, that's fine. That's what I was thinking. But I go, you got to promise me this. I go, if you're into it and you're getting to the point to where you think that you've done what your money is worth, but you think you can go above and beyond. I go, don't let that number hinder you into going above and beyond. I go, just charge me more.
Right.
I go, that's fine. I go, I'm fine with that. I go, I want you to do the best job possible, and I don't want money to be an issue. I go, because I know art. Matt's an artist. I know, money sometimes, like, well, I did right, because especially on tattoo artists, it's like they'll quote out a job, and it's just they'll get to the point to where it's like, oh, I could keep going, but it's going to take an extra hour. But I only quoted this amount of money, so I'm just going to stop here. So now the same thing with my tattoo artist Butch. I never asked for a price. We just did a piece, and I knew he was going to do the best job that he could do, and give me the best price,
Right.
for that piece, and that was it. So, he banged it out in a couple of days and fucking killed it. Just absolutely fucking killed it. So, but yeah, he's, businessman of 28 years. So he knows what he's doing. He wants to make some money.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's amazing how many folks it comes across as they don't, the way that they respond,
Yeah, I just tell people if I can't do a job, I go, no. I've had people reach out lately, on 3D, projects, 3D print projects. I'm like, I just don't have time right now. I go,
Right.
I'm so booked up, with so many stuff. And I got one person, and I love him a lot. We're working on a project. We're still, multiple prints back and forth, shipping them out, getting, like the team's decision on it. And we're still waiting on one team member to give his okay on it, on the size. And then he's like, hey, what do you think about this for like the next project? And I go, let's stop right there. Let's finish this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going into another project. We got to finish this first. I got to get my artist paid, my designer,
Right.
I got to get paid. And we're stopping right here, but
Well, it's always good to look ahead, but like you said, if you're looking too far ahead and you have other freaking you have other projects in between, it's I always, just like you said, if it can be done, great. If you can't do it, I'd rather know that you can't do it than just freaking keep telling me you can and then dragging it out, or blowing me off.
That's it. And before we continue, I forgot. Let's we definitely want to give a big shout out to a new company that's been supporting the show this year, Fogbox. Let's hear a little bit about their cool travel humidors.
Let's be real. Most travel cigar cases look the same. Black, boring, forgettable. But Fogbox, they're doing it different. Every Fogbox travel case and lighter features custom hydro dip graphics, from bold patterns to badass designs that pop. These aren't just tools, they're statements. Whether you're at a lounge, a campsite, or on the beach, Fogbox gear stands out while keeping your cigars protected and fresh. Plus, the quality is rock solid. Airtight, rugged, and built to handle wherever you take it. If you're still carrying around the same black, plain cigar case everyone else has, it's time for an upgrade. Visit fogbox.com and grab something as unique as your cigar taste. That's fogbox.com. Built to travel, designed to stand out.
Link and coupon code in the video description below.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's and then I got an appointment on Thursday to see another tattoo artist. We're going to completely redo my head. We're going to go over and re-tattoo my head.
Yeah.
Freshen it up. And make it pop. I found a sick artist that does great biomechanical stuff. So, yes, we got a consultation with him. I sent him over some pictures, and he's like, what were you thinking? I go, same thing. I go, man, I said, I've seen your work, and just do your thing. Whatever, I'm a gearhead. I want to stick with the gear theme, freshen it up.
Terminator head.
So whatever he wants to do. So, and Jessica's going to go with me because she wants to finish her sleeve, but we're thinking he might not be the best guy, for her style. So, but we'll find out. It's a good, good thing about having consultations and going in and talking.
Very cool. You got a busy tattoo man over there.
Yeah. Why are we selling out for 9 viewers? We have a whole lot more than 9 viewers. I can tell you that. Maybe on just YouTube, but we don't get a lot of we're not selling out. Fogbox is a great company owned by a couple of cool cats that are doing some cool stuff. They partnered with us, and it's just doing some. Yeah,
we're two guys doing a podcast, and you just did a commercial for Fogbox, a company that makes freaking cigar boxes, cigar travel boxes, and being sell out. I mean, that's funny. I'm sorry. I find that very comical.
Yeah, it's we all got to pay the bill somehow. StreamYard is $89.99 per month to on this platform. So and YouTube doesn't pay me to for views. Neither does any other platform that we're on. So all of this comes up. Yeah. So what's going on, RJ? Good to see you back. Happy Monday night. Happy Labor Day.
So sports. I just wanted to say this real quick. Sports Illustrated, SI.
Yep.
Our college football of HQ on SI.com. They have Ohio State 1, Penn State 2, LSU 3, Georgia 4, Texas 5. Now
I'll accept that.
I agree with that, but I still think LSU should be 2 and Penn State should be 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was happy to see, and I'll leave it at this, I was happy to see Notre Dame lose. I don't like Miami, not one bit, but I don't like Notre Dame either. So I was actually happy to see Notre Dame lose too. So I had a pretty decent game day. And it looks like Ohio State and Penn State really, Ohio State's going to play Illinois in October, but they're going to be playing some. There's some rough and tough. Washington, I'm sure, is going to put up a fight. I don't think Grambling State or Ohio or Minnesota. Minnesota's always kind of scrappy. But Penn State and Ohio State meet in November 1st.
Yeah, so we got some. It's always obviously just about every team. It's later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
University of Florida's got a pretty tough. The Gators have a pretty tough schedule this year. Which a few SEC teams do. What's going on, Robert? But it's we definitely got some cake games coming up. But any given Sunday, that you played. So
you'd be surprised, man. But and we've seen it last year. Every year there's always going to be some upsets because you're either going to go into a game, overlooking this week's opponent into next week's opponent, and you're going to be very surprised that the people that you're playing or the team that you're playing is pretty fucking good. Listen, I joke around and I say, Nevada, the Nevada Community College. This is still Division I, and there's still some damn freaking incredible athletes on that team. They were good enough to be able to make it to play Division I football and play on that football team. There's some damn good football players out there. So
that's it. Yeah, and then with the transfer portal, you never know. Sometimes some of these guys, they go to, go to a team. Like look at LSU. What wasn't like the powerhouse. Back when what's his name transferred from Ohio State. Over
Burroughs.
to LSU, Burroughs. And then just took that. They didn't suck, but they weren't. The team they became. But it's he took a chance with LSU, and look where that went.
And the portal's pretty crazy now. I don't agree with it, but you'll see
Yeah.
a lot of folks that may be in some of these bigger programs that feel like you're not getting they're just dudes. They may go to a smaller program to start, and it's easier for them to do that now.
Oh
Than
yeah,
it was years ago. Years ago, you had to be like, you either had to know somebody, or maybe they caught you on TV, or they heard about you, or maybe they recruited you and you chose Penn State. Now you're third string Penn State, and you're like, well, I'm better than these two bums. And then they're like, well, I remember freaking Appalachian State freaking recruited me, and they were going to start me, so I'll go down there. I'll still get a full ride. I'll be a big fish in a little pond, and I'll still get some recognition. I mean, but it's so much easier to do that now.
Oh, it definitely is, and you're seeing a lot more of that because, like these teams like Ohio State was quarterback heavy. It was like a week before the game. They still didn't have a starter. They didn't know who was going to start. They had 3 beasts, and if Julian Sand, finishes out a year, and does great, that's, it may be a couple of years before anybody else, gets those guys are going to jump. Maybe one of them sticks around and gets some playing time and shows his grit, and that'll help out. I don't know. I do like the other.
Depends what you would do. I mean, some of these guys are perfectly fine with being a backup quarterback and doing everything and stepping in when they need to step up. But I think you'll definitely see more if you have a rock star lineup at quarterback, and you have, like you said, this quarterback goes through the season, has a great season. Yeah, time to go look around.
Yeah. I do like on Ohio State, you had the 2 brothers playing on the team together during the game, and then the one brother already graduated this year, got his degree, and he got his degree with their dad. Their dad graduated with his brother.
Oh wow!
Went back to school to get his degree, and his brother and his dad got to walk and get their diplomas together, and then sticking around and playing for another season. And a lot of these guys stick around 4 or 5 years and get their degree just in case, get a good degree at that.
Yeah, no, listen, we've had a discussion before about getting paid and scholarships and shit, but we talked earlier, I'm surprised to see them, and I know that it's being done because Belichick's the head coach, but UNC's playing tonight, playing TCU.
Yeah, TC, and those are two good. I mean, two good. I mean, decent teams. It'll be a good matchup. TCU, the Horned Frogs are always, they're up and down. They'll have a good season, bad season, good season, bad season.
Yeah, UNC's been both them and Duke out of North Carolina. Their football programs have really been getting a little bit more. They've been getting better over the years, and they've been getting some more press. And I think with Belichick going there, obviously that's another thing too. I mean, you see a program like UNC can blow up over the next couple of years by people who want to go in and play for Belichick.
Oh yeah.
So it is going to be pretty interesting. So I know that they said that they've been playing. TCU has not beaten UNC, so. We'll see about tonight's game.
Let's see who you guys like on Thursday night, Philly or Dallas? I'll be honest with you, I'm not following NFL that much anymore. I follow my Dolphins a little bit, but
Philly.
I don't.
Philadelphia came off. I mean, they're Super Bowl champions. They have a solid team. And Dallas just has too much ridiculousness and controversy. Dallas has more drama than 90 Day Fiance.
I know. I won't root for Dallas until what's his name? Jimmy, the owner, until he dies. I'm not ruining.
I like him.
He does tell it like it is. He's like Marg Schott, of the Reds. less racist.
Yeah, I like him. I mean, listen, when he had coaches in there who did a good job for him, they were in there and they did a good job. I think he's just a little too much of a control freak.
Yeah.
And I think he knows a lot, but I think he thinks he knows more than he does. But I just never been a big Dallas fan, so
Yeah, same here.
I don't know if the Eagles are going to go this year. I'm like Kevin. I don't really follow the NFL that much, but I follow enough to have a conversation. I think this year I'll definitely follow it closer since with my dad passing, he's a big Eagles fan. So I'll definitely keep an eye on the Eagles for my dad.
Dolphins are going all the way this year.
I think I think you're a little crazy.
I say that this time every year. Oh man, Dolphins are looking good. They're going all the way. And then like 3 games in, well, it's a rebuilding year.
Yep, that's my dad's Eagles for years is always, and the Flyers. Oh my God. How many times I hear my dad don't want to hear it anymore, which pains me. But every year be like, the Flyers got young kids, man. They got young, scrappy kids. They're rebuilding. They're going to bring this coach in here. He's got a great talent. They got a whole bunch of kids down there in the minors. They got this. I'm like, Dad, you've been telling me this. These minors that have been in the freaking the kids that they drafted that are in the freaking whatever league hockey, they should be 40 years old by now. Yeah. I mean, and I always got sick and tired of seeing people leave the Flyers and go to another team and win a Stanley Cup. I was like, at one point, the Tampa Bay Lightning and who else was it? Was it Blackhawks? The Blackhawks. But Tampa Bay Lightning at one point, when they won a Stanley Cup, I was like, fuck, their starting lineup has all ex-Flyers on it. Like, almost all ex. What the hell's going on with this team?
We had that with
coach leave. You see coach leave the Flyers, they go elsewhere. It's like, Ken Hitchcock's a bum, get rid of him. Oh, he's just going to go to freaking the Blue Jackets or whatever, and he's going to freaking win a couple Stanley Cups. I mean,
yeah. Tampa Bay, the Bucks had that for a long time too. Like, someone would leave, and then the next year, or the 2 years later, they're in the Super Bowl. And it's just like, that guy was, I forget what the quarterback was. He's a bum. And then he came back to play the Bucks at home in the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, it's.
You talk about Jerry Jones. I'm a Flyers fan through and through. Always have
Jerry
been.
Jones. That's what his name was. Jerry Jones.
I'm a Flyers fan through and through. Always have been since I was a kid, sitting there watching the freaking '70s Broad Street Bullies play with my. I would sit there with my dad watching them play. But man, the ownership and leadership of that organization, as they say, over the last 15 years, the coaching position is like a rotating door. It really is. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you get a team established and get a plan in place when you keep rotating these coaches in and out, in and out, in and out? I don't know, but I go off on a Philadelphia tangent there. I think the Eagles have a good shot of repeating this year. They just got to stay healthy. Yeah. We were at the Slice this afternoon. And sat outside. It was a beautiful day. Sat outside up on the rooftop, had some food, had a couple beers. And I was watching, and they showed all the running backs who were coming off of a 2,000+ year rushing, and the following year what they did. So Barkley, they're watching him very, very carefully because a lot of the folks came back and had shitty years. There's a couple that had 12. I mean, you're rushing for 1,200 yards. That's nothing to sneeze at. There's a couple of folks, but. I think he's going to be heavily watched after the coming off the year that he did, the way that the Giants just kind of wrote him off and let him freaking go.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles picked him up in the year that he had, and then and everything that he signed, all the money that he's getting now. All eyes are going to be on him to see how he does this year. So I wish him well.
RJ has a comment here, and then it leads me to a question. Flyers need a legit number 1 goalie. I don't know. I've seen hockey. I've been to a hockey game. Is the goalie like? Hockey. Yeah. Is the goalie like the pitcher and like the quarterback? Is that the most important person? I mean, no team can have a most important person, but is that like the quarterback?
The goalie is very, very important. The goalie
Okay.
is the goalie is the staple. Any Stanley Cup team, when you take a look at the goalie and you look at what they've done, they're the ones that. And a good team always has good balance. You got to have good offense. You got to have good defenders, but you got to have a goalie that's going to save your ass. When everyone else fucks up on the ice, basically.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let soft goals in. And he's right. I mean, the Flyers have really kind of floundered with goaltenders for the last several years, and they had a goaltender who was their guy, but then I got to look him up. I think his last name was Hart. He got involved with some freaking legal matter, and they suspended him. And he was out for a while, and I think he just got reinstated recently. But he was not. He did not have a I gotta look it up. I think I had to do something with freaking
Carter Hart is what our
Carter Hart. Yep. Carter Hart. Yep. He was.
What if everybody that calls him like Carhart? It's like his nickname. I don't know.
But it was sexual assault charges in 2018. 2018 involving members of Canadian World Junior the hockey team. He was one of 5 players involved in this case. And he was acquitted in 2025, but when it popped up, the Flyers dropped him. Boop, gone.
Yeah. Hashtag me too.
And now that he's acquitted, it's like, okay, now where's it going to go?
What's going on, Matt?
Yep. So and he was a young goalie, good goalie. One of those guys who. He was one of those guys that you do build a team around. So I don't know what's going to happen to his career now.
Yeah, it just sucks. One accusation like that, and it's you never know. It's like, like at work, like I'm real careful. I mean, we got a couple of females working, and one thing I'm like, I don't want to be, I'm never alone. I don't ever, not that I'm worried about myself. You just never know with accusations that, these days, it's like, I don't want to be alone with any female. A couple weeks ago we had our inventory, and then there's one of the inventory ladies that does it showed up early, and I'm like, hey, I got to wait till someone else is here before I let you in. So I locked the door behind her, and the manager came in, and right behind me, 10 minutes later, hey, you could have let her in. I go, no, I couldn't. Like, I don't know her. I don't know her. I don't want any of this shit happening. Not on my watch. They'd be like, hey, can you give this customer a ride home? I look in there. I go, nope, not happening. Get one of the girls, give her a ride home. Not happening. So I
No, I listen. I get it. And it's we were talking about that earlier. And you almost have to be extra careful now. Because it's. Like you said, it's gotten to the point now where you understand, but the unknown is past that line, and I'm not going to put myself in a position or a situation where it could, you don't want it to boil down to a he said, she said.
Exactly, and RJ, you're right. You almost can't get me. I think a lot of women do like, compliments. Like I'll compliment women. Like if someone's wearing a nice pair of glasses, I'm like, oh man, I love your glasses. Or, oh, hey, those are cute earrings, or I love your watch, something like that. But I'll never like,
you compliment accessories.
I do. I'm like, oh, I like your hair. I'd like to sniff it. I don't, that's, or, I think it was like a month ago, a customer had come in, younger girl, and, younger than me, probably still in her 30s. And I go, man, your eyebrows are on point. My wife would love your eyebrows. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. And I know girls like their eyebrows. That's a thing, but yeah, she has some nice eyebrows. So that's as far as I go. But I always make sure, like, my wife would love your eyebrows. You lead with that, so.
You compliment the accessories, not the body. And then you're not going to go any lower than the eyebrows.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's it. No, not the necklace. Hey, nice necklace. You staring at my boobs? Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Here we
yeah,
go.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
like, listen,
you
you got great glasses. Those are great glasses. Nice earrings, great headband.
Yeah.
Great hair color. Love the style.
Tattoos, like, hey, but not if they're on their legs. Like, hey, nice tattoo. Are you staring at my legs? No, I'm not. So as long as they got arm tattoo, hey, nice ink. So, but yeah, it's just the world we live in now. You can't, because of social media, you can't come back from those accusations. Before it was,
man.
20 years ago, yeah, you get accused. Who's going to hear it? A couple of people, your friends, your family, you get accused of something and then you get acquitted and your friends are like, yeah, I knew he was legit the whole time. But now that shit goes on social media, it goes on Facebook, goes on the news. And it's like, yeah, you can't unring that's always, because there's always a certain group of people. Oh, I didn't like him. I knew he was weird.
Yeah.
I always knew that, about him. And it's just like,
well, we've seen that recently. You see a car accident and they put it in the newspaper or they put it in online, and then everyone comments out, afterwards. It's like that with any news, article, and people start drawing their own conclusions without knowing the facts.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're never going to give a follow-up story and go, oh, hey, by the way, remember back when we accused Kevin of this? We were wrong and Kevin was right. You're never going to see that shit. And the only time back in the day, if you see the headline newspaper, you would see a retracting article or a correction article later, like on page 5 or page 6, buried in a small little snippet, where weeks ago or even months, it was front page, and everyone remembers that freaking front page article. And I also think articles now are most definitely written with a very slanted view, and people don't understand what op-ed means. It's an opinion piece.
Yeah. People, they don't opinion.
Yeah, it's not operational. Right. It's not operational. It's opinion, and people don't understand. Oh, this is an op-ed piece. I got this. This is right. No. It's someone's. It's what is it? Opinion editorial. It's an opinion, is what it is. And
operational education. Yeah,
exactly. You can't put a bunch of belief behind that. You can read it and maybe freaking help it add it to whatever other information that back when you used to have to do that, like do your own research. But now you'll see an op-ed piece, and it'll be freaking quoted as God sent and as freaking truth, and it's not. So you definitely see a lot of freaking shit get freaking thrown out there, and it just blasts.
Then they edit these. You look at the Kristi Noem, that interview that she's blasting was at CBS for cutting out like 7 minutes of her interview, and where she went above and beyond talking about that Kilmar Abrego. But yeah, they just they'll just edit out the interview to however they want it to seem, and then you got the which I haven't seen it yet, but I guess they finally released the full interview of Kamala with that whole CBS scandal or NBC, whoever it was. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I don't know. I kind of don't fucking care anymore.
No, I didn't even care what was going on. I didn't need to freaking when it comes to politics and shit like that. I mean, you already kind of know, and all the other stuff is just static. It's just background noise. And there's a lot of people who like to follow the background noise, especially if you are someone who likes to live in your bubble and live in an echo chamber. So I kind of laugh at that shit.
I laugh at the people that follow the 2-week news cycle. They're always rallying against whatever is in the news, be it immigration, being it social services, whatever it is in the 2-week news cycle. And they'll never bring up immigration again. For 2 weeks, you see their news feed, completely full of all of this. And then the next thing comes out, and then you never hear them talk about whatever. I use immigration as an example, but you never hear them talk about immigration again, ever. It's like, oh, did you forget about that?
Yeah, tell me what I'm supposed to care about. That
Yeah.
it has become that, and it's crazy. This is my second one tonight. This is my
Oh, Lars Teton. I've got
this is a
a
nice one.
Jason Newman Diamond Crown as
Mm.
my second one here in a few minutes. I've been hooked on the YouTube channel Jubilee. And I don't know if anybody watches it or not, but and I don't know. I've only caught like 4 or 5 episodes so far, but the one I'm watching now is it's Patrick Bet David. And if you may not recognize the name, but as soon as you saw a picture of him, you'd know exactly who he is. He's got a great podcast, but they had John Morgan from Morgan and Morgan on recently, and basically it was the same thing with John Morgan as Patrick Bet David. It was basically these wealthy, influential people against. They sit in in the middle of a ring of people surrounding them, and this one was basically all these 20-somethings that are all trying to convince the world that socialism and communism is the best way to go, and then he's trying to convince people that capitalism is the best way to go. And John Morgan, same, just destroys these kids. But and a lot of these, Patrick Bet David, at one point he looked at this girl and he goes, "Where did you go to school?" And he's like, "USC," like here in California. He's like, he goes, "What professor convinced you that all of this nonsense is true?" And these kids are so fucking brainwashed, Kerr. And all they do is the same thing, because it's supposed to be a discussion back and forth. Like he'll give a topic, like here's what I think about this. And then it's like, 20 minutes of these kids cycling in and out, basically debating him on this topic before they move on to the next topic. And all these kids do, they don't have an argument. So all they do is talk over the guest. And
that's all they know how to do.
They'll go on for 2 or 3 minutes, and then hey, can I talk for a second? And then so he'll talk, and then they'll interrupt him, and then he'll talk again, and then they'll be like, do you mind? Do you mind if I finish my thought? And it's just like, you just talked over him.
Yeah.
For 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, wouldn't let him say a word. And then as soon as he says something, you jump right back in and you just start talking. And everybody, there's a Jubilee is the name of the YouTube channel. Definitely watch it. You can follow them on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram as well, so you can get the short clips of what's going on.
Look that up, because I'm always interested in seeing that stuff, because I think
what's going on, Matt.
I
see fit.
I think that just in general, society has lost the ability to freaking have a conversation. And you see, especially when you're talking about a conversation about differences, everyone mistakes opinion for intelligence, which is it's horrible to see. And they won't allow anything factual get through, permeate that bubble that they've created, because if it were to, then maybe they have to accept that maybe they're not right about something. So everybody needs to hang on to this "I'm right" stick and hold the line. And then we've also seen and I know I rail on about this, but I think it's worth railing, is opinion has been now replaced with truth. So now Kevin doesn't have an opinion on something; it's Kevin's truth.
It's my truth. All right, Matt, we spent the first hour talking about sports, Matt.
Missed it, Matt. Sorry. Ohio State should be number 1. Texas should be number 5. Florida State freaking finally got their just desserts against Alabama. End of story. But the thing is, when you say, because when you think about this, when you just hear the word, right? If I say to you, well, Kev, my opinion is, and everybody always says, well, everybody's opinion. It's like assholes. Everyone got one. You all stink, because that's your opinion. Because I'm committing to a belief based off of the information I've gathered, and then my opinion on the topic. But when you have someone to say, well, my truth, that word truth, it's like people are afraid to freaking challenge it because it's like, oh gosh, that's their truth. That's what they and just a simple rephrasing of something just not only changes the dynamics of an argument or discussion, it also changes the dynamics of a mindset. Because if I say this is my opinion and you start spitting off some truth to me, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I got to change my opinion on that because you know what? Freaking Kevin brought up some really good points. But if I'm sitting here believing that this is my truth, now I've freaking established a foundation, which is truth is really the truth is a cement foundation, right? It is one of those objective, undeniable. It's the truth. If you turn something into my truth, your opinion, which can wax and wane based off of the information that you learn, or maybe some information you didn't know is shared with you. Now, when you say it's my truth, that opinion now is rooted in cement, and then it ends up just being it ends up again people holding their ground on issues where if they're proven wrong or if someone starts spitting out facts, they start arguing, they start yelling, they start name calling, and they talk over you.
Exactly, and Jessica and I get into some heated discussions. They're never arguments. They are discussions. We don't talk about politics a lot. I think we align on a lot of things. We don't align on some things, I always want facts. She'll say something, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I was not aware of that. I was aware of this, like, but and I'll do it to her and other people. Send me some information. Just if you could just forward me something via text or email of where you got that information, I'd like to dig a little deeper in that because I was always under the impression that this, and I can tell you that 99% of the time I don't get that information. It's just
You mean to tell me you don't believe in the they say the reference? I love when that because I know I catch myself doing it too, but someone will be like, they say. And you're like, whoa, who's they? And where did they publish this? Because I would like to read what they wrote or what they're saying. I can't remember. I read it somewhere, but they say that Russia, they say that Biden, they say that you're going, oh, I'm like, time out. I need to know the truth. I think a lot of these reporters are also getting away with a lot of shit with saying an unnamed source. Hey, we got an unnamed source in the White House, an unnamed source in the Biden camp, an unnamed source in the Clinton camp. You know what? It's all bullshit. It's just basically a way to validate an op-ed piece. Is all it is. That's all it is. So when you start seeing that, I scroll through. I'm like, oh wow, that looks interesting. Oh, unnamed source. No, okay, moving right along. I'll freaking scroll along. Like you said, I most of the times I want to pop over to YouTube. I love the Shahan Ryan interview with AJ from the Live Files. That was a great interview. Oh my god,
great interview. And the more I listen to Shahan Ryan, sometimes it's just like he just the things he doesn't know infuriate me. It's just like someone will say something and be like, oh, I don't know what's that. And I'm like, the fuck don't you know what that is? That's why I love Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan knows a little bit about a lot of stuff. And then, he's open to, getting some information. He has said it in the past. He's like, hey, I thought this. He'll say it on his, but I had this guy on the show and I actually researched that. Do you believe Fox News reliable news source? Why would news need opinion host? I don't think any of them are reliable. None of them. None of them. I trust the independent media that I see on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They give us more facts, I think, and they give us their sources. You see this mainstream media, and they just, it was like you said, it was stated that this, and it's just but you see these independent news sources like, hey, if you check the video description, you'll see the link of where I got my information from. So I trust. I definitely trust the
None of them.
The independents morning. And Joe Rogan is legit. There's some things I think he's wacky on. We landed on the moon. Get over it, people. We were there. So it's done.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
But
so we eventually landed on the moon. Whether that whole first step was that real? There's a lot of. I'm gonna say it was, but I've seen some compelling arguments that
there's one thing real. Though. There's one thing that makes me question any of it, and that is getting through the Van Allen belt. And honestly, I mean, I'm like you. I'm like, listen, whatever. I it's the moon. But hearing some folks, hearing some of the shows, some of the things on that I've watched, and folks at NASA talking about the Van Allen belt, and it's like, oh well, we don't have that technology anymore. Like fucking, that was the '60s. How do we not have that technology anymore to be able to get through an area with heavy radiation that would have killed everybody in the capsule? And we did it 12 times, 13 times.
Yeah, that's it.
That's and just the only part that I'm a little question about.
And going to Mike, I don't trust anybody that doesn't cite their sources. If you don't cite the sources and you don't give me the information where you got the information from, I take what you say with a grain of salt.
Yep.
So
the people your opinion.
The people that I personally follow, they cite their sources, and I can at least start digging from there. Yep. If you give me a source, I can backtrack, and then I can find other competing arguments with that. So I do form my own opinion. So
and you got to look for the consistencies too. When you do research on a topic, you have to look for consistencies and inconsistencies. So going back to the question, is Fox News legit? No, they're not. I don't think there's any news source right now because every one of them has a show. Whether it's Hannity, Jesse Waters, Laura Ingraham, it's a show. They're going to bring you the news, but they're going to give it to you from their angle. Same with CNN, MSNBC. I rate them now on who's more tolerable, if you will. Yeah. I've actually, I kind of didn't like him at first, but I'm starting to like him a little bit more. And that's, oh gosh, what's his name? He's on HBO now.
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. Someone like Bill Maher. I find him smart. I find him entertaining. I find him funny at times. But he's someone who'll be like, I hate Trump. I do not like the man. However, what he's doing in this area is good. And it's like if you have the guts to be able to do that with any topic or political stance, you're at least looking at things objectively. But when you, what was that?
Oh, they're pandering to their audience, rather.
Of course it is. Yeah. It's the base. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
But Bill Maher, 90% of what he says, I think, is his opinion, which I respect. I respect.
And he lays it out like that. He lays it out. This is my opinion. This is why I don't like the guy. This is why I do like this person. Yeah. But at the end of the day, whenever you are going to research something, I don't care what it is. Like you said, look up immigration, for example. Take a look at the stance that you're making on it and why you're making that stance, and then start doing your research. And you got to look for consistencies and inconsistencies. And that's how you're going to come to a conclusion, even if you don't have sources, quote unquote sources. But you got to look outside of your mainstream media. But you also can look at, if you look at like, how's MSNBC reporting this? How's Fox reporting this? How's CNN reporting this? And then look deeper into the topic and the subject in independent sources and look at objective information or other sources and look at numbers, look at consistency in numbers that are being reported, where it's being reported from. When you start pulling all that data together, that's where you can really come up with a true, I think, objective observation and opinion on something. You know,
Yep.
if you're going from one
Alien-
source, it's not going to work.
Alien ship.
That's the alien ship.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you're 100% right. Like I said, it's I don't know. You know, like I said, the whole immigration thing. You know, if you believe, you know, like the FBI, they said, you know, that, you know, or not the FBI, the ICE director, you know, he says, you know, that they have found and saved like 30,000 kids so far this year. That's awesome. Those numbers, you know, there's no backup data to those numbers that I know of. So if that's true, that's fucking amazing. I love it. So,
yeah, I mean, but then you, like you said, you got to find your source. Like where those numbers coming from?
Yeah, are you publishing those numbers somewhere? I don't know. Have you been following also what's happening in the UK? I love what's happening with the Union Jack, the fucking flag. The people are taking that shit back. Yeah, it's there's been several mayors of towns in the UK. You know, they've banned, and this is going back now 20 years since I managed a bar, and it was at a resort. We had a lot of Canadian and a lot of European people coming in to the resort on holiday. And I remember they used to complain that they weren't allowed to display the Union Jack. They weren't allowed to display. They weren't allowed to display their flag because it was to display the Union Jack means you're racist. Because of all the colonization that the, you know, you know, in the past, you know, that's what it could stand for, you know, but that's their flag. So, and then it really set off, I guess, when someone had his Union Jack confiscated at a soccer football match, and it was all being recorded, and the guy in front of him got through, and he was holding a pro-Palestine flag, and they're like, "Hey, you just let that guy in with the Palestinian flag, but I'm not allowed to come in with my Union Jack." Yes, that's correct. Okay. And it's just yeah. So now the cities are taking the flags down, and they're saying for every one flag they take down, 2 more are going up. People are the people are attributing this to America, to Donald Trump, to this, you know, that they're begging for a UK version of Doge. You know, should Trump have been involved with Stephen Colbert being canceled? How do you think that's going to go?
I think
I don't know. You know, Stephen Colbert, you know, when a TV show loses,
you lose your viewership, man, right?
The numbers that are being reported by the broadcast channel that he's on, that he's losing $30 million a year, $28 million a year is whatever it was. Was anybody really involved in that decision? You know, how many years can you go losing $30 million a year? That was reported by the network. So yeah.
I'd like to see some. I would like to see somewhere that says that Trump was involved with Colbert being canceled, because honestly, to your point, when I look at it, I'm like, listen, when you talk about these shows, right? It's not like there are so many shows that are pro-Trump and Stephen Colbert was on his own little island who is anti-Trump. I mean, the majority of them are anti-Trump to begin with, right? It's the viewership. Like you said, listen, they were bringing Jon Stewart back in to save that damn show because, like him or not, I found Jon Stewart. He's another one too who I find very funny. Sometimes he can kind of go off on his little bit of a freaking holier than thou rant, but all in all, Jon Stewart's funnier than hell. He is. He's smart, and he's super smart. But he always, one thing about him is he always kind of understood, for the longest time, he understood what he was and where he was. Because I remember he was on years ago. It used to be Hannity and Combs. Do you remember that show? Yeah. Hannity and Sean Combs, and he was on, and they were going back and forth with him, and he goes, "Guys, my show follows a freaking show that freaking it's Muppets making crank phone calls. Like, you're taking me way too serious." But I even think they knew back then that for him having that daily show that freaking kind of a little bit of a goof on broadcasting, on news broadcasting, that it was having an influence on the viewers, and they knew it back then. And I think he finally caught on. But if you're not getting viewers, and like you said, you're losing money, you're going to get canceled. Well, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to start blaming freaking people, especially Trump, because he's an easy target. At the end of the day, dude, just get viewers, freaking put out good content. Saturday Night Live the same way. That show sucks. Get viewers, get money.
I love John Oliver. I think he's smart. I think he's funny. I don't align with him on politics at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I watch his shows that don't have anything to do with politics, because his politics are skewed. But every now and then, like I haven't seen him in a month because everything is about Trump or politics. But when he goes after, or a show on the CDC, or it's a show on this, that, and he dives super deep into a topic and lets you, like chicken farmers, it's everything. I'll watch and I love it. But when he goes after politics, I don't watch it. Like I don't care about that. That's not what I really want to see. Not just because you're going after my party, but I just don't care about politics that much. I'm tired of seeing it because he does such a great job. But I'll go to his channel every now and then, and I'll watch and I'll look at the numbers. And when he goes after politicians and Trump and everything else, those numbers are a lot less than when he gives you the full insight on Monsanto, which gets crazy numbers. And it's just like, know your audience, dude. For years, Jessica and I, before the YouTube really started cracking down on that, we watched what people liked, and then we tried to do more of that, but
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know, that is that is, one thing, do we let the merger go through? You got to get rid of Colbert. That hasn't been proven. I've heard that as well, Mike.
Who was the merger with?
They got bought out by Mike might know. I forget, but they had to settle the lawsuit with Donald Trump first, because you couldn't put that. You can't put that $28 million or $23 million lawsuit onto the new company. So they had to settle. Rumor was, Trump took less money to make sure Colbert got fired. I don't know until some kind of truth.
That's not that's not a bribe. That's called a freaking settlement.
But yeah. So until someone shows me the check that was written,
that's a settlement though. That's still a settlement. Yeah. That's not that, and that is the decision of the company that is making the decision to merge. Much like you've seen a lot of these companies that were, what was it? Who bought out Warner Brothers, and they had a was it Batgirl movie? They had a number of movies got freaking canceled. They didn't release because it was part of the agreement when they did this merger. Those things happen. Yeah. I don't think it's going to help Stephen Colbert's freaking argument if you're losing money and you kind of are sucking wind the last several years. I mean,
if the network puts out the numbers, and says you're losing $20 million a year, whatever it was. It was higher than $20 million. If you're losing that much money at the end of the year, and someone says, hey, let's settle this, but that guy's got to go, but for this guy's
out the door.
Yeah, this guy was on the chopping block anyway. So.
Yeah, if he was bringing in viewers and making money, I don't think that would have been one of those things.
Frivolous lawsuit. It was defamation, but it was it's I don't know, but I know he has a lot.
Frivolous should be the freaking action word for the last several years of what goes on that we see in the legal system, unfortunately. But like you said, I think Trevor Noah is pretty funny too. I think he's another one of those, guys who's in the political arena. He's funny. Yeah. But what happens is when they start going off the beaten path, it's kind of like, turn the channel. You're not funny anymore.
That's it. I love Trevor Noah, but I stopped watching, because it was a good show, because they always talked about something. It wasn't strictly 100% anti-Republican and just politics. it was, they tried to get to the bottom and the truth of a lot of different stuff. And when it goes off the rails like that, like, same with, like I was talking about John Oliver, it's like, I don't care. Just my daily feed is filled so much with politics. I just want to laugh. I want to get some knowledge about a topic that I was unaware of, and like chicken farmers, it's like, it's all that. I'm like, I want to know about that, so I don't know.
I think it gets too monotonous. Years ago, and I like a lot of these shows were pretty, and I use the word fair and balanced. I know it's a Fox News quote, but a lot of them were very fair and balanced when it came to picking on and making fun of freaking politicians. Saturday Night Live, they were always, they freaking railed on freaking Clinton, they railed on freaking Bush, they railed on it was always funny because it was always, they really didn't show, a slant in one direction. It was always a good time watching them blast and freaking make fun of and poke fun of the different politicians. Hell, they did a whole skit on freaking Bill Clinton years ago on the Pelican Brief, which it was called, it was the Whitewater or whatever it was thing. And watching this stuff now, like you said, when it's just slanted in one direction, you're like, man, you're not funny anymore. Now you've become a sounding board for one political party, and it's not. After a while, it just gets old, and then you wonder why you see a show like maybe Fox News on some of their shows where you get that huge swing to the opposite side. They're just in this great competition to see who can out freaking do each other and out bias each other. And the real news is kind of left, nowhere to be found. Because you're not going to have anybody who's going to come out and be fair and balanced.
Yeah, right, Mike, you're right. He's the highest rated, and he's bringing in some cash. Bringing in $30-40 million a year. But when your show costs $60-70 million a year to produce, how long before you can still front that show? If my boss, I am a great employee, but how long would I expect my boss to be paying me more money than I could bring in? He's gonna be like, hey, you're the best employee we got. You come in early, you stay late, you can do every job here. But last year, we lost $30 million by having you here. We're gonna have to let you go.
Yeah. So, listen, they do with shows all the time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you're right, JJ. Yeah, go to YouTube.
Yeah, Jen and I, we'll watch a show. We'll go through a scene. We're like, man, that was great. Canceled. How could it be canceled? It got great reviews. It was up for Emmys. It was up for this. And you open up, you read it, and said viewership dropped at the end of the season, and it cost too much money to produce and create each episode. So a great cast, a great show. Hell, even freaking the something as stupid and as silly as Twisted Metal, which is in its second season. I was like, who's the girl who's in that, Jen from Scream, who's in Twisted Metal? And she was in I think it was Party of Five or something. I can't remember. There's an actress. I was like, what happened to her? They're like, she cost too much. This show, we got this cost too much money. We got Anthony Mackie already, who's on the show. We got her. It just costs too much. It costs too much. They're not gonna.
Same thing. Yeah, our favorite show, Wheel of Time, got canceled. And it was an Amazon show, and it's each hour long show is like producing a movie. It was like $10 million a show. How much new viewers are you bringing in?
Right.
How many people are subscribing to Prime to watch that? So after a couple seasons, like, hey, we can't afford this anymore. It's got to go. So that's what happens to these shows. Then we politicize it. It's because of this person. It's because of this person. It's because of what they said. And it's just, it is what it is. Jon Stewart got canceled off Amazon because of because of what he was saying. He did not have free reign to say what he said. And Amazon canceled his show. That's why he went back to the Daily Show. It is.
Yeah, I mean, they said here that the Colbert Show went from 3.1 million viewers to 1.9,
Yeah.
and it said that it went from 121 million dollars the revenue to 70. You know, which overall viewership. I mean, it's one of those things where he was, maybe outpacing some of the competition, but it just means you suck the least if the other ones are suck and win too.
Yeah.
And it's, you're starting to see that across the board.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I don't have the answers. It's we can only speculate. We can only do.
I'm sorry if you put this up already, Kevin. I apologize.
No, I haven't. Yeah. What do they still need to cancel? So wouldn't you start with your least successful show? But if your least successful show is losing less money, maybe your least successful show is making money. Maybe it's breaking even. If the numbers are true and it's he was losing $28 million a year. Say you only have a show that's losing $100,000 a year. You keep that show on because at least it fills a time slot and is losing less money. I don't know. I'm not in that business, so I don't know all the intricacies. We only know what's being reported and whatever numbers that the studio or the network is releasing. At the end of the day,
guess too, based off the numbers. I mean, like you said, you're speculating now by saying, I don't know, maybe they have a show that is losing.
Yeah.
It's less successful. How do you deem success? Well, maybe it was making 100. Colbert was making 121 million, drops to 70 million. You may have another show that's making 20 million. And it's still, are you losing less money? Sometimes the ones that are the biggest losers. I don't know, but at the end of the day, you can believe that it was a bribe as part of this freaking lawsuit. If you want to believe that, fine. Or you can just look at the numbers and say, well, he dropped significantly and has been dropping. And if you look at the numbers objectively, there's the rationale.
And if it was a bribe, like at the end of the day, it's what you said earlier. That was the settlement. That was the settlement. If that's what it took to make that lawsuit go away, to make that merger go through, they did what they had to do.
But that's the thing that's what it's. And sorry, Mike, no offense, but I think when you start using a word to describe something else, if it's a settlement, and part of the settlement is like, hey, listen, I'll freaking take less money if you get rid of Colbert. That's a settlement. How is that now turned into a bribe? Like, why is that word being used now? If that was part of the settlement, if that's what you agreed upon, it's like, hey, listen, Kevin, I'll take less money if you freaking make a public apology. Is that a bribe?
Yeah, no, that's our settlement. That's our agreement.
I'll take less money if you stop wearing Ohio State shit.
Yeah,
is that a bribe?
Yeah, no, that's a gentleman's agreement.
I'll take less money if you just don't fucking have Jessica on anymore.
Yeah.
Is that a bribe?
Yeah.
No, it's a settlement. Settlement that might get you killed with Jessica, but it's a settlement. And again, all this is speculatory. It's probably reported by an unnamed source. I don't know, but at the end of the day, man, freaking if you're losing money, your viewership's down. You could be a controversial figure, and if someone in their settlement says, hey, I'll take less money, and you're a freaking organization going, we want this merger to go through, that sounds good to me. Freaking win across. That's called a settlement. End of story.
Yeah, you look at, and maybe they'll stop, just not them, just everybody in general, just stop saying whatever the fuck you want. I mean, we do have the First Amendment, but we also have people have the First Amendment right to sue you. Look how many times The View, man, you look at Rosie O'Donnell, boy, she has backtracked fucking lately because she's tired of being sued. The View is trying to be tired of being sued, for just being able to say whatever you want, whenever you want, with no repercussions,
and have it be untrue or true. I mean, that's
it. And people say, oh, that's our First Amendment right. Damn right it is. They get to say whatever they want. My right also to sue you when you defame me by making derogatory or untrue statements. That's my right to sue you. So and maybe eventually you'll stop saying dumb shit that's not true.
That's your right to free speech. However, nowhere does it say that your right to free speech did not have consequences.
Yeah.
And to your point, yes, we have, you don't have to worry about freaking some of the shit that you have to worry about in other countries, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna make untrue statements, if you're gonna be defamatory, there are limitations to your free speech. You can't walk into a freaking into a movie theater and yell fire and say it's covered under free speech. You can't come out and make defamatory comments. You just can't. And Mike, no, I don't think Colbert is going to be the new South Park, because South Park's actually fucking funny.
Yeah.
He said, what makes you think the views are down? The number is from Trump, the real estate guy who does sequence square footage of his own home. Well, I think that question is a loaded question already. Starting off with you're asking a question and you're saying it's coming from Trump, and you're already kind of squashing the source or whatever. I mean, at JJ, I think this. Listen, objectively, it doesn't matter what fence you're on. If you're going to alienate a good portion of your viewers, and honestly, I don't even think it's 50% of your viewers. I think you're getting a lot of pushback. You're seeing this across the board, and we've seen it on both sides. You're getting pushback from the people in the middle, the undecided people in the middle. The people are like, listen, I'm a conservative in my freaking personal life. I'm a conservative with finances. I'm a little bit more liberal in my views. Hey, don't really freaking hang my hat on this. Don't hang my hat on immigration. Don't hang my hat on freaking, abortion or whatever. You just kind of go through. When you start hearing from certain from certain sources that, you're wrong, you're stupid, and you may not openly share your opinion because you just kind of keep it to yourself. At some point, you're gonna be like, well, screw this. Why do I want to watch this? Just turn the channel. Because I come from, the way I was raised was, you don't talk about politics, religion, politics, anything like that at family functions and shit. You don't talk about that at work. That's shit you don't talk about. You don't talk about any of that stuff. That stuff you keep to yourself. You may have conversations with your close friends, family members and stuff like that. But generally, if someone asks you, hey, you Republican or a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent. Hey, what religious? I'm a freaking Catholic, I'm a Lutheran, I'm a Methodist, I'm Jewish. And that's about as far as that went. That's about as far as those conversations went.
Yeah. I remember talking about going back to my bar days, and every now and then I'd hear someone talking about politics or religion, and I'd have to shout from across the bar, hey, not here.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah, Mike.
Because this was a resort. This is where people come to vacation. Like, not here. Take it somewhere else. We're not having this.
Same with the cigar lounge. You never hear these conversations. Yeah. Mike, do you think there's a lot of independent voters out there? I think there's a lot of independent voters, but I think there's a lot of folks that are registered Democrats and registered Republicans that vote both sides. They're not sheepish enough to go through and just hit freaking party line and then freaking hit next. I think there's a lot of educated and opinionated but educated voters that go out and say, and a lot of these folks will register a party just so they can vote, vote early on. I think you're seeing more folks like that. You may not be a registered independent. You may be a registered Democrat, but you will have someone who's a very registered Democrat that have voted for Republicans, and vice versa. Republicans have voted for Democrats. And I think that's where you see that independent or the undecided voters, and where they come from. That's the reason why you hear why some politicians, whether it was Clinton, really spoke to some Republicans, or Bush really spoke to some of those freaking blue dog Democrats, or Trump may freaking speak a little bit more to specific Republicans, and may alienate some Republicans and speak to other Democrats. It's because it's their policy. That's what it's what they're doing versus what they're saying. So I think you see more and more Republicans and Democrats they're registered, but they're not definitely voting party line, because they're not robots and they're not sheep.
Yeah, and then JJ, people now try to force their beliefs on you. It doesn't work. Yeah, it's there are people out there, if you ask, if someone asks you, oh, you Republican or Democrat? Or, you say that I'm Republican. And then they just same thing, or I'm a Democrat. Then they just try to lambaste you. Oh, what does you think about your party doing this? Like, listen, you just asked me what my party affiliation was. It's like, I don't believe in everything that either side does. I pick a topic and I try to, worm my way through, and try and figure out, what's worked best for me, my family, my community.
Yeah.
Just
that's where it begins too, community and family. And a lot of folks, they'll ask you if you're Democrat or Republican because the first thing they want to do is they want to label you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if you are someone who is an all-inclusive, all loving and all accepting freaking party or group or person, if the first thing you're going to do is label someone based off of how they're registered, well, then you're not. You're a hypocrite, is what you are.
That's the first thing you ask, because he's like, hey, what are your thoughts on what's happening with immigration now? Versus, you Republican, Democrat, and then they like you said, they already know what your thoughts on immigration are. Oh, you're a Republican. I don't even have to ask you what your thoughts are on immigration.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the way it is? Same thing as like, oh, you're a Democrat. Oh, you want everybody to come in. You don't care.
Yeah.
You want to inundate our system. It's just, I've already formed my belief on that. Why can't you just ask without knowing?
Yeah, no, it's gotten so ridiculous with putting labels. It's almost to the point where we've come full circles where we come full circle where we don't want to judge or put labels or tags on people, and we want to be all inclusive. And what we've done is we've gotten to the point now where we've put labels on people almost immediately.
Yeah. That's what we do, and we put labels on people before they even speak, and sometimes I'm not going to lie, it's easy sometimes to put a label when you see, a short, squatty woman with 3 different color hair and a face full of piercings, and you kind of know where she stands. You don't, it's like you want to talk with her, and it's like, I don't think I can have a good discussion with that person, and that's fault of my own. It is what it is, but
we're human. We're all, see, that's the thing is as soon as anybody here realizes that we're all guilty of it. I'm sorry, I don't care how freaking perfect you think you are or whatever else you want to label it. I mean, I don't care who you are, what race, freaking what religion you are. Everyone is judgy. Everybody is. Everybody has they're going to stereotypes. I mean, there's a reason why there's stereotypes, right? It's because of there's people who actually act that way. It's the reason why there's stereotypes. So everyone does a lot of stereotyping, and it's like I think as a society, and I think folks, as you learn, it's to make that stereotyping less and less and less, and then open up your mind and ask more questions so you can squash that stereotype, instead of a lot of back in the day. A lot of folks, there's still a lot of folks today who have that stereotype, and it doesn't matter what you say, it's not going to penetrate what they think you are based off of what you tell them. If you say, hey, you're a white Christian conservative straight male, oh my gosh, you're a Republican Trump voter, they're like, well, holy shit, you don't have to tell me anything. You don't have to tell me any more about you.
Yeah.
If that's your response to someone who says that, just like you said, if you can say I'm a female, white female lesbian, Hispanic female lesbian, blah, 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 the Democrat. If someone says, oh, well, you don't have to know any more about you, then you're the problem. Then you're the problem.
Yeah. So here's a good one. And I challenge anybody to whether they look deeper into this. Immigration. Do you think the judge should have put a stop at 2:30 in the morning to sending unaccompanied minors to Guatemala? Did anybody see the photos of the airport that they were supposed to go to? Those unaccompanied minors. Did anybody see the airport with the families holding up the signs saying "Welcome home"? to those unaccompanied minors. So that plane full of unaccompanied minors had family that was
Waiting
in,
for 'em.
not all of them,
Right.
but there was, I think more, it was more than half, had families there that had been requesting that their children, and one of them was a 17-year-old kid, the nephew, that tried to come over here. There was no work. The family was needed money, medical expenses. He snuck over the border, tried to raise money to send back home so his family could have get the medical need that the mom, the aunt, or whoever was. But yeah, so what people are talking about that, but they're not showing the families with the signs saying "Welcome home," and now they don't know when their sons, daughters, nephews, nieces are going to come home because they wanted them, to come home.
But
that's the other side of that.
It's also funny too because how many judgments, how many judges have freaking injected themselves in stopping a lot of these presidential orders and such, right?
Yeah,
and that's always touted as a victory. And Mike's asked this question: is shouldn't they have stepped in? I think the problem across the board, I don't care who you are, where you are, I think there's one too many judges that have a political agenda and are trying to write laws from the bench, and that is not their fucking job. That's not their job. And you see it all the time. And it's because if you want to write laws, freaking become a lawmaker. You want to be a judge, then you start interpreting law and you stop interjecting to stop and continue shit that's put in motion. So you can't celebrate one and then freaking ask questions about another because it didn't go your way. I think in general, I don't care if they're conservative judges. I don't care if they're liberal judges. I don't care who they're appointed by Clinton, Bush, Trump. I don't care who. Too many judges sit and try and write laws from the bench, and it's out of control.
And people, got to remember that for as many immigrants that have been deported so far since Trump has been in office, still not has eclipsed what Obama deported. And these are numbers from the Obama administration. These are not numbers that are made up. These are what Obama's people had put out, and Trump he's not expected to deport even for the rest of the year. He's still not expected to eclipse what Obama deported in his best year as president.
Yeah.
But we weren't talking about that then. Very few people are talking about it now because the orange man that likes to throw out a tweet every now and then. No, I was not, because it was a plane full of kids. I have better things to do with my life than to try and track down the country where every kid on this plane is from. I saw the families at the airport welcoming. Did they come in from another country? I don't know. I can only say from what I saw, there were several kids on that plane that their families wanted them home, and now they're disappointed that they're not coming home.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about it to weigh in on it.
Yeah,
specifically
that all went down early this morning. So yeah, I can't trace every kid. I can only show or only dig so deep into a topic, before it's like at the end of the day, I don't, am I a bad person? I don't care. Does that make me a bad person because I don't care that, I'm trying to go to work every day and to support my family, my community, my country, and just, there are bad things that happen every single day in this country to people that I don't need to care about. And that sucks. It makes me sound like an asshole, but I can't care for 230 million Americans. I can only care for the couple of dozen that, of my family members, or 100 people.
Yeah. I also think when it comes to this kind of shit, it's you're going to pick and, there's a lot going on, whether you like Trump or not, there's a lot going on. And you're not going to get all of it right. And again, I don't know anything about this to be able to weigh in on it or even speak intelligently to it, because I know nothing about it. I didn't read anything this morning about it. I got up this morning, I got a bagel, I came home, I played Fortnite, and then I went and had beer and spaghetti, and I came back, and that was and I watched the freaking horrible. Oh no, we watched Thunderbolts, which is a great movie.
I work all day. I come home. I run a business from my house, so there's only so much time out of my day that I can dig into a topic, and just to get a little bit more information about it. But
I'd like to learn a little bit more about it, because I think that there is, it's because I do think that there's a lot going on, and like I said, some things you're not going to get it right 100%, right? But if you don't like the orange guy, and you're gonna hunt and peck and pick out these areas that you're gonna be like, well, I want to hang my hat on this, and what about this? And, well, of course, then if that's your battle cry, that's your battle cry. Good, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be 100%, and you hope and you pray that they get it right, because these are human beings, these are people, right? But I think the one thing above all, when I look at this objectively, I think all of what's going on right now is the byproduct of really piss poor immigration for years. And the reason why we're in this position now, and the reason why these situations are occurring, is because no one cared enough, or at least had proper process prior, in order to make sure that things were being done right. So then when you're trying to clean up the mess, and it doesn't matter, because we've seen presidents, doesn't matter what side they are, come in and have to clean up the other president's mess. When they come in and are cleaning up a mess, if it's a big mess, sometimes the freaking process that you need to do to clean up that mess is not going to be favorable, or it's going to be frowned upon. But you almost kind of like, the old "don't kill the messenger," freaking quote. You get into a situation where it's like, man, don't leave a freaking mess on the floor and then criticize the way I'm cleaning it up. I'm trying to clean it up the best I can. You left this place a shithole. I can't clean up the floor anymore. I got to rip the floor up, because of what you did. I can't just wipe the walls down. I got to freaking repaint the walls. The place is a mess. I gotta rip up the carpeting. I just can't freaking steam clean the carpeting now. I gotta rip up the carpeting because of the way you left it. And then you and your followers and your friends are gonna criticize me by the way I'm cleaning up a house that you left a freaking shithole.
Yeah, exactly. And this, talking about due process, when it comes to kids, that's a whole different touchy subject, and I understand, kids don't have choices, where they go, where they end up, but
yeah, they're dragged along with the shit.
They're dragged along, but for a lot of these, it's due process. You're here illegally, you don't get due process. You're not entitled to it. You're not entitled to it. Period. It is what it is. It's like the U.S. has to be this country that for some reason, we're the only country in the world that you get to come in illegally, and then and you're allowed due process. Try that everywhere else. Try that in Russia, Czechoslovakia, Germany, Iceland, Sweden, Japan, China. Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. A lot of these countries in South America, try getting in, and then illegally, and then getting a driver's license, getting social benefits, and then when you're when you're caught, I have due process, I have rights, but yet the America's got to be the outlier. We have to allow all this, and we don't see Mike, do you I don't know, I haven't gone to your Facebook page, and do you rally against Russia? Do you rally against all these other countries? Do you rally against Japan does not allow a mosque in the entire country? You can't build a mosque in Japan. You can't publicly pray in your work site. Jessica and I were just talking about this the other night. You can't do all that, because they don't allow it. I don't see on my friends' website or their Facebook pages that they're rallying against Japan. Oh, there's Japanese people there, this and that. So I don't know. This whole thing that America's has to be this melting pot. We have to let everybody in. Get the fuck out of here. Literally, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and I think listen, there are some of the constitutional rights that do cover persons that are in the United States, whether they are legal or here legally or not legally. I mean, that's the fact of what it is. But I also kind of feel like, to Mike's point, I can't, again, deporting vulnerable kids. Well, anytime someone wants to make a point, they're always going to freaking use kids. They just are.
Won't anybody think about the kids? Won't anybody think about that? That was the always rallying cry.
But it's like, do you think it's right to do it over a holiday weekend? Et cetera, et cetera. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, I think if there is a way, maybe instead of questioning that, maybe we should start questioning the tactics of all politicians and what they're doing and saying and how they're acting, when it comes to some of these steps and policies, because I think that, there's been a lot of stonewalling across the board. There's been a lot of unnecessary and heavy criticism, and there's a lot of warranted criticism. Don't get me wrong. I see both sides of it, but if we're going to pretend like this is a well-balanced political arena right now, and I think you're crazy. I think that I just do. I think no matter what side you stand on, especially if you are a true Trumper or a true anti-Trumper, you're going to find reasons why you're going to like the guy. You're going to find reasons why you hate the guy, and it doesn't matter how right or wrong you are. Mike asked a bunch of questions, starting with Stephen Colbert all the way down to this point, and now this is that point to hang a hat on. And it's not criticizing you, Mike. I'm saying this is just, kind of my view of the way that questions have been coming across, during the show. So, and if that's your wheelhouse, and that's your wheelhouse, and I wish you nothing but luck and that's how you, and again, you live in a country where you can have these beliefs and you can kind of make your stand there. But at the end of the day, I think there is a huge lack of objectivity, and there's a huge lack of working together in order to solve serious problems. And I always go with, there's always an agenda why people let some of this shit go by, man. There just is. Do you think
there's
concerned about brown immigrants? I've seen ICE go in white ones.
It has, I've seen the stories, of the white people getting deported as well. But that's one out of every 100 stories you hear of. I'm gonna call a spade. Brown people are easier to pick out. It is what it is. You see a bunch of brown people at the Home Depot, and you see one white guy wandering around. As long as that white guy doesn't talk with an accent, if he's just not saying anything, they're not picking out the white guy.
There's Woody.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. Brown people are easier to pick out. That's just I'm going to call it like it is. There are white immigrants being deported.
I think it's statistics though too. I mean, again, I don't have the numbers, Mike. If you have them, great. I mean, I'd love to hear them. But of the illegals that are in the United States, what's the breakdown of if you need to break them out into brown immigrants versus white ones, what's the percentages? Is it 90% to 10%? Is it 50-50? Is it 30-70? I mean, I think when you deal with those numbers statistically, you may have a situation where it will, let's say, for example, if you have 90% of the illegal immigrants in the United States are from countries and they are going to be brown, where 10% are going to be white. Well, when you start seeing roundups and you start seeing deportations, you're going to see a higher number of brown immigrants. If it was the opposite, if it was 90-10, then if it's 90,
Yeah.
if it's the other way around, if it's 90% are white and 10% are brown, then Mike, you bring up a good point. I think that's a valid point. But I'd have to better understand the statistics on your use of the word brown versus white. It was like back in the day when they, I don't know if you remember the story, when someone, a news reporter for football, gave Troy Aikman shit, and they said that he was racist because he yelled at a black player. And Michael Irvin said, "Dude, look at everybody out in the field. It's Troy Aikman and it's Moose, the fullback." He goes, if he yells at someone on the offense, he goes, the odds are it's going to be someone who's black. He's like, shut up. He's a great guy. You know,
Yeah.
So I always took that story as a very comical story because I do like Michael Irvin. He's a hell of a player and a comical guy. But it did bring to light, kind of like statistically speaking, if you're looking at an 11-man roster and 2 of you are on the field are white and you're one of the white guys, if you're going to yell at somebody, statistically speaking, you know, it's going to be someone who's not white. So let's kind of stop with the freaking shenanigans and the optics and get into the real nitty gritty. And I think Michael Irvin really brought things back to center of what was being serious, of what was going on at the time. So yeah, Mike, I mean, I think if you're taking a look at the numbers, if there's numbers that say 90% of illegal immigrants in the United States that are crossing the border are white and 10% are brown, then yeah, we got to take a look at how we're going about, rounding up these folks. And I would like to see the statistics of those being deported. And does it match the number of, the percentages of illegal immigrants in the U.S.? But again, I think that is another one of those arguments that really can't be had unless you really truly do know the numbers. If you're making a statement or you're asking a question like that, you may have something already half baked in your head, and if you have that half baked in your head, is it half baked off of statistics or opinion? I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Yeah, same here, and don't get me wrong about immigration. I believe there should be a path to citizenship. I think if I used to work construction. I worked with some amazing people, that may have been here illegally, but they spoke great English. They worked hard, been here for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. They paid their taxes. They have their own health insurance. They're not living on the government. To those people, those people should be granted citizenship, or a fast track, a way to citizenship. We've got our neighbor lives 4 houses down on the water. Michael, he's German. He's very, very wealthy. He has to go home, every 6 months. He's got to spend 6 months back in Germany. He cannot get, he has businesses here. He employs Americans. He still can't get citizenship here. He wants to sell his, his place and everything in Germany and just live here in the States 100%, of the time, but he can't get it either, so, it's the whole citizenship process is fucked up, and it needs to be revamped, my brother-in-law, is a farmer, lead grower, it's like he's been on farms his whole life, they rely on, the whatever people, I forget the name of that visa for the people that come over here, and it's to pick crops and work the fields, and if they don't go home afterwards, it's not his not his problem, or it's but they're starting to hold some of these farmers accountable for these people. It's like, hey, once they leave here, they're supposed to go. It's not, you can't hold the onus on us. So I don't know.
Well, so, a lot of it is all speculatory.
Thank you, Matt. I've switched over to a Maui Jim. So I've got the whole lineup of Maui Jim glasses.
Oh, the new shades. He likes them. Jen hates them. Jen's not a fan.
Yeah, I've got three new pairs. I did my research on the best lenses, the best glasses. Maui Jim got the best reviews, and I really liked their style. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Matt, I can't go to Japan and stay without my time running out. I have a small amount of time to visit, then I get the hell out. Yeah, that there you go.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's you don't want to fuck around and violate that,
That's it. And Mike, so yeah, so I have seen, white people in the news. And I'll admit, it's one story for every 100 stories that that have happened. But I've never personally seen anybody arrested by ICE. Period. I've never seen anybody. I only see what the news shows me. So yeah,
Right.
but there have been, on the news, families that have been here for 10 or 15 years. They came here illegally and they've been deported. So yes, I have seen that on the news. But with that being said, they show that, the white person being arrested by ICE one time for every 100 or 1,000, brown person being arrested by ICE. So
Yeah. I don't pop on it. I'll be honest with you. I dip into the news every once in a while, but I'll do searching on my own for the stuff. But overall, I can't watch it. It's intolerable. That was the first. I told you, I said this before. My first class for political science, it was like 101. It was like, okay, here's what we're going to teach you. We want you to do your own research. You go to the library, look at books, this, that, the other thing. The most unreliable source of information you can get is TV, then newspaper, then radio. Radio, out of all the, and this is obviously showing my age, the most, if you were to take, the resources, radio was the most reliable, because back then it was just, here's the news. Kevin Shahan, blah, 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 blah. Here's the news. Here's the weather. Everything was just, here's what's going on in the news.
Yeah.
TV at that point was the most biased, because it is, tell a vision. They are telling you the vision. They are telling you what they want you to freaking see. Now with the internet, with all these different freaking, you can't swing a dead cat around without hitting someone who's got a blog or an op-ed. All these different groups. I mean, it just gets so buried. The truth gets buried so deep in all this shit, where the last place I would ever say is the most reliable freaking source would be anything that you pop on your computer. TV's even worse now. After O.J. Simpson, which is really where that 24/7 freaking news cycle actually came from, because what was going on. Now it's turned into every freaking station has to have a show that's popular. Like, I'll watch Greg Gutfeld because I take Greg Gutfeld as what it is. It's freaking humor. That's it. Bill, a little bit more freaking highbrow, a little intellectual, but it's still humor. The Daily Show used to be with Jon Stewart. I took it as it was. It's humor. Yes, they are going to sprinkle in what's going on. They're going to talk about the day's events. They're going to pick on someone. They're going to freaking rip on someone, but it's humor. Outside of that, man, everything else that's on that you're looking at is just, they're telling you what you want to. They're telling you a vision. What do you want to hear? And it's just crazy.
That's it. Now, Gary, I didn't know your wife ran an optical business. You have like 25 pairs of Maui's. Goddamn. Each pair is like $300. You got some fucking cash. My latest pair, my daughter gets 30% off because she's a nurse. So I had her get me the discount code.
He manages an optical business. He gets it at cost, Kevin.
Yeah, I know. I may have, there's a couple other pairs I want. I may have to.
Do you like them that much? No, is it just sunglasses? It's just the or can you get are your other glasses Maui's as well?
No, my regular reading glasses are Oakley's. Just because I like that smaller frame.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all my sunglasses are Maui Jim, and I absolutely love them. So
thanks, Mike. It's good chat. Yeah. Sorry, Kevin. Mike is saying goodnight. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks for questions and a good chat.
Great chat. Thank you for being. Hopefully we stayed as respectful. And I know sometimes when we get into these topics, it can really swing, and we try and I know Karen and I try and stay respectful as we can, give our opinions without going,
I honestly don't think we're ever disrespectful. I think sometimes you may
Yep.
give an opinion or your feeling on something that may not be, be a little harsh. But I mean,
Yeah,
if anybody's looking for you for for gentleness, I mean, I think that they don't know you. They should go to another channel because that's not who you are. I mean, it's the reason why I send you my cigars. I'm not sending my cigars so I get a freaking, hey, Kerry, this is a great cigar. I'm sending you a cigar for you to go, hey, this is not good. This sucks. You should not freaking release this. Or this is awesome. This is great. So at the end of the day, if you can have a dialogue or a conversation, even though it's questions and we're asking or kind of, being involved with it, I don't think there's any disrespect at all. I think it's a matter of differences of opinion. If you can respect someone's difference of opinion, then you're about 90% better than most of the people are right now, because folks really have a fucking hard time with that.
That's it. I love that comment. You at the 5 o'clock news. Stay tuned at 11. If you have this product in your house, it could kill you. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Just give me a clue, bro.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm sorry, man. You gotta wait a couple of hours. Just sit outside.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The guy I work with has Costas. He was trying to get me into Costas. Costas are too big for me. I don't have a giant head. I never found Maui Jim has I think a little bit smaller frames for my head. So Costas are big, and they're
big frames. I got a fucking
yeah.
I do. That's why when you turned me on to these things, I was like, these are perfect. They're freaking
yeah.
They wrap around. I love the blues because I can actually wear them inside when lights are too bright for me. They're perfect, but I like the wraparounds. But even my reading glasses, my other glasses, it's like I gotta pull them out. I'm like, these are freaking. Which ones fit on a pumpkin? Bring them to me because they're going in this melon.
Yeah, but yeah, it's I used to wear Oakley's way back in the day, and they just got cheap when they I think Gary said Maui sold out too. I think Oakley sold out a number of years ago, and then they just they got cheap. I like their reading glasses. They're really nice. Remember Jessica and I were at Great Smoke, and I knew I was going to need glasses, and I saw someone with like a specific pair of Oakleys. I'm like, I really like those. I go, can I try those on? And like this guy had followed me online, but first time we ever met, I'm like, can I try your glasses on? And then I took a picture of like the model number. I go, I really like these, so hopefully he's honored that I chose to wear the same glasses as him, so.
Yes, I said reach around. I meant to say reach around.
Yeah, reach around versus wrap around.
That changes the whole freaking conversation, doesn't it? That one word, accidentally. No, I like this reach around Kevin gave me. So these wraparounds Kevin gave me definitely changed the tone of the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, we were not 2 hours. Whew.
Yeah, that went by super quick. I think that's probably a good we had a football for a good hour, and then
boy, I think we're doing politics for the next 3 months. That's the most politics we've ever.
That definitely is the most politics that we've talked about. Oakley sold out to Luxottica. Sad these days it wasn't. At least it wasn't Luxottica. Yeah, I watched a video probably about a year ago, and it was on the eyeglass industry. I can't believe how much of a scam it is. Like, it was just like 3 companies own like everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it blew me away when I watched that. And it's just like, it's just such a scam.
Yeah, when I got my glasses, they said when they had to take out my lenses to get done, they were like, "Yeah, they're going to Texas, with the friends." Like, it's like the one of 2 places that freaking don't do lenses.
Yeah,
and I'm sure the frames are probably just like you said, it's just as bad.
Oh yeah, I got my frames online, because my company deals with we get discounts from eyeglasses.com or whatever it is, and it was like with the coatings, the lenses were like $400 or $400 for the frames, and then it was like $1,000 for like the whole package, and then my company got like like a $600 discount. So it ended up being like $400. And they came in wrong prescription.
Yeah.
Wrong. So I reached out to him. I go, hey, these completely wrong. I mean, I can't see anything at all. And they just came back with, okay, we just refunded your money. You can keep them. I'm like, wait, what? Like how much were these frames really?
Yeah.
Like you just like, yeah, just you can keep them. Have a nice day.
Yeah. No, I when I got mine done, when they came in, I put my glasses on and I got the bifocals and stuff, transitional lenses, and I left, and I'm like, it didn't seem right when I was in this in the store, and then when I left, the left side was very blurry. I noticed when I was driving, so I turned around, I went back, I'm like, listen, man, the left side's blurry. It just is, and oh god. I can't. We're not going to get into the story of the girl who had a meltdown just because I asked about my freaking glasses. But they actually had to go back and I had to be rechecked again because to your point, it was my prescription was wrong, and I'm like, and I got my company was like, okay, here's these lenses you can get for free, and I was like, I don't need fancy glasses or expensive glasses. I was like, oh, I like these frames. They're freaking $150. You know, they're part of my deal. And then you go through the lenses. It's like, I mean, there's more options for my lenses than there were for a freaking vehicle. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. When I took my frames in to get the lenses, and it started off at like $89 for the lenses, and I ended up paying almost $400 just for the lenses. And you got to have glass, and you got to have this coating, and you got to have this. And then I tried to get them down a fucking discount, you know, because I wear transitions, and it's like, hey, on the right one, that just needs to be glass. I don't need, you're like, oh, they got to be the same. Like, I'm blind in my right eye. I don't give a fuck what just put the same coating so they look the same. You know, I don't need all that special stuff on that one lens. I'm like, oh, this is a scam right here. Trying to get me the transition into the other lens, so.
Yeah, like it's the same thing. It was like start off like 80 some bucks, 70 some bucks. I'm like, okay. So like, we got to get the coating. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm pretty sloppy. I drop shit. So I transition. I'm like, okay. How do you want the transition to be? I'm like, I want it to be like a normal transition where this is fucking normal view. And then when I look down, I got my reading. Well, here's the different ways that they start showing this, or you can get this 360, and they're explaining these different views. And I'm like, fine, go with the one that you recommend. And then by the end, it was done. I was like, okay, here's your final bill. I'm like, time out for a second here. How does this work? Well, the way that it transitions with my readers, it's like, well, you're only going to be able to see in these areas here, and then this area is going to be blood. I'm like, these are glasses, bro. It's not that difficult. So what I did was I got a pair. I got the lowest form of transition, which is fine. Which mostly my prescription is taking up most of my field of view, if you will. And then I had an extra pair of my frames, and I said, here, just make these readers. And like the prescription for when I'm on computers and stuff, and that's all I do. So now when I'm working, I'll throw my glasses on. Now when I stand up from my computer, I got to take them off because everything's blurry. But I take them off and I'll throw my other glasses on. But that's what I use now because it was cheaper to go that route than it was for these ridiculous fancy schmancy different ways of freaking doing transitional lenses and the different. What's this film do? Well, it blocks down the reflection of the light. Well, don't the film that's normally on it do it too? It does, but this does it a little bit better. You need $200 better.
Oh yeah. And then I got like a lifetime warranty on there. And like once a year I can go in. So I got my receipt. So like at my year, I'm just going to put a big scratch across both of them and just bring them in, just so I can get new ones. Just to have them. Have you looked into the new eye drop? I've been reading a little bit, and I got to dive into it a little bit more about the eye drops that take that makes you not need readers anymore. It's only for up close, like me. Like if I'm reading something like this, like it gets a little blurry. Anything else, I'm fine. They have eye drops now that can correct that.
Really?
It's temporary, I don't know how temporary, couple weeks, a month, couple months. We have eye drops at for people that need up close. So yeah.
Yeah, I got astigmatism, so my whether farsighted, I need glasses because that's what I need. But as I'm getting older, I am needing readers now. I am needing a different lens, a different prescription for up close. My up close eyesight is way better than my far away eyesight. But and with my age, I've noticed over the last couple of years, things start getting a little fuzzy. So when I put on those readers, I could definitely see better. But I'll have to look at those drops to see exactly how that works.
Yeah, mine is just up close. Just like when it's really up close, my eyes can't focus that well anymore. So I like really got to strain to see the up close stuff. So I don't know. They're
That's interesting.
Yeah. I've just been reading a little bit more blurbs about it here and there. I haven't dived deep into it, and then they've got like new procedure, like LASIK is going away. Like LASIK only has like another year or two, and like there'll be no such thing as LASIK surgery anymore. They have like a new thing coming out. Like they've been doing it for a few years now. So like LASIK is like ancient technology now. Like that's and it's going to be one of those things in like 10 years, be like, wait, what? You had LASIK? Oh my God, how old are you? So
that's funny. This is called VUITY. It's FDA approved. It shrinks the pupils to increase the depth of field and improve near vision for people with presbyopia. It's once daily drop rather, and it provides improvement within 30 minutes and lasts up to 10 hours.
Oh, so it's that short term. Oh, I was thinking like weeks or something. So it's really, really short term.
This is something like, if you start your day, you take your eye drops, you're going to be good throughout your work day and not need that freaking shit, which is fine. But
anybody listen, has anybody had an eye exam lately? Like where you go, you look at like, and you read like the letters and the numbers and everything. So like so my eye specialist, because I'm blind in my one eye. So once a year I got to go to like an ungodly expensive eye specialist just to make sure that nothing else is going on in my eye. And like now they have it like on a sheet like this, like an 8x10 paper, and they just hand it to me. They hand it to me like this. So I'm reading like this, Kerr. And they're like, okay, what's like the smallest line you can read? I'm like, well, I can read them all because I'm holding it in front of me, like a sheet of paper. It used to be on a wall. They turn the light on, and you read it from across the room. Now I'm just holding it like this. I'm like, well, I can read all of this. Yeah, I can read that.
I still got the wall one. I still got that one. The farmhouse and the wall.
Yeah. No. I get the piece. I just get it on a piece of paper, and it was like, hey, what's the smallest line you can read? I'm like, oh, okay, I can read them all.
That was one of the things that they gave me. Was they handed me a piece of paper. It was only one of and they said, what's the smallest you can read it? And I go copyrighted. I start reading the bottom part, and they're like, okay, give that back. And then they freaking went and start doing the freaking wall test. But I still had, all that shit.
Yeah. And then they have the new, which I just saw for the first time yesterday. It's a machine, and it looks like it's in like a mall. And it's you put your face into this machine, and it takes pictures of your eyes, and you get artwork with your two like your the corneas, is that the colorful part, and you get like this big printout of this beautiful iris, this beautiful artwork of your eyes, and it looks super cool. So I don't know. I was going to look into more of that and see where those are at, because I got rare eyes. I got hazel. So it's like one of the rarest, not one, like it's one of the rare colors that I have.
Yeah, my brother had hazel eyes. I had years ago, they looked at I have brown eyes, but they're like, yeah, your eyes are more like kids. You got this yellow flexi. I was like, dude, I don't care what color my eyes are. They're not, they're bright. Yeah, the irisphoto.com.
Oh, okay. So, but my doctor, when I go to my specialist, they do, and it's just of my one eye, my bad eye. They do an ultrasound, like they'll put like a jelly on your eye, and they do like a baby ultrasound. It's a little fucking creepy, you know, but luckily I can't see out of it. And but it always shows up on the computer, and I always like, can I get a printout of that? I'm like, my eye looks fucking awesome on the inside with all the blood vessels and everything else. So
That's funny. Yeah, I just put on there irisphoto.com. They have a little video and everything. Some of these photos are pretty freaking cool looking.
yeah, pretty badass.
Especially when they make it look like a hurricane. They actually make it look like a swirl. They can make your iris look like a swirl.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. So
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I put it here in the chat, but pretty interesting stuff, man.
yeah. All right, I think we've delved into all of it for tonight. We want to thank everybody for coming on and spending your Labor Day evening with us and talking about a little bit of everything tonight. So it was a good show.
From the I formation in football to the I pitchers, we covered everything.
That's it. Yeah, everything in between. So. All right, cats and kittens. We'll see you back here next Monday night for another Puff and Ponder podcast. So, peace.
Oopsie.